Justin, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the buy sell process and the due diligence phase in particular. And last week we talked about one of the employment topics that maybe a prospective buyer would send to the seller to dig into their employment documents. And today I wanted to ask about the intellectual property requests that may be within that due diligence request from a prospective buyer. So what we have on our screen is a list of things that the buyer may want to see from the seller on intellectual property. And you can see it's pretty detailed here. So can you just share with us, what these requests are and why a buyer may want to see these things?
Yeah, so I'm just showing this because it shows you how tedious and how detailed these requests are when they come. But you're almost always going to have this big long request, and one of the sections is going to be intellectual property. And in the intellectual property one, they're going to ask for here, this is for all documents related to intellectual property rights. And then it's like, okay, in particular, we want to see this stuff. So they want to see every document you have. And then they're going to ask for patents, patent applications. They're going to ask for trade names and trademarks. And they're going to ask for down here any of your agreements with anything for anybody who's creating copyrightable material for you. You're going to have computer software, which kind of this overlaps a little bit. Then they're going to ask for off-the-shelf software. And people get into, because they're trying to figure out, do you actually have rights to use everything you're using, all that kind of stuff. Any royalty agreements or licenses for intellectual property. And this is just any strange, I would call them strange agreements, where you just happen to have this license. It's not part of a normal agreement. You get down here, you start to get into research and development agreements, policies and procedures for protecting trade secrets, all that kind of stuff. And the point of it is really just that the buyer wants to know that you've thought about intellectual property, that you've taken the time to protect it, and that you fully understand what it is that you have. And the thing that's difficult is if you're the seller and it's the first time you're thinking about these things, because then all of a sudden you're trying to create or document all of your intellectual property at the time that you're also trying to, like we talked about last time, document all of your employment practices and document all of your corporate things. And it can be a lot. And so that's why it's easier just to space these things out. So, work on kind of always be thinking about intellectual property and pace yourself from when you start protecting these things and figure out maybe patents don't apply. That's fine. That's a perfectly viable answer. Maybe you only register one trademark. That's also fine. At least you considered it. Maybe in your industry, copyrights really aren't a big thing, or maybe that's everything. But just knowing this so that you have and can speak to it when a buyer sends you one of these requests. That's really what we're looking for.